Again, it's Elizabeth, and I'm over here in my art loft ready to finish this box. Last time we met, we had the slope thing, and I've glued in the piece that it will lean against. And then I was going to hinge this to it, but if I did that, then there would be more space needed for it to open and close. So I decided instead to put on just a little loop and to let it float in there. And that way, if ever the owner wants to take it out and just have the book sit in there, they're perfectly capable of doing that too. And if you want to see how the book lays in there, I think we showed you that the last time, but you can see that it looks lovely just sitting in there like that. And if you want to, I can fix another little piece to put on this side to kind of hold it up so it sits in the middle, so it's perfectly aligned. I think that would be aesthetically nice, but I haven't done that yet, and I didn't cut the pieces for that. Today we're going to make the top. Now the top is going to go, they're going to be hinged on this side, and I've already cut the pieces for that. And when I cut those pieces, they are the height of the box itself. And I made little marks so that when I got ready to put my holes for my hinge, I could line those up. So I make little marks so that I know exactly where this, because you can see if it goes slightly this way or slightly this way when you're making those marks. Okay, and I also made the other side, which I've already covered one piece, and the other side had little marks as well. And I made the holes for this for the latch piece. Now, one piece is going to go on the bottom, and then the rest of it is going to be one entire piece that goes from here to the top to the other side to fasten. Okay, so we don't need the box right now. We're going to put that over here out of harm's way, as they say. And we'll get started on the total top piece, which we need to put the hinges on the top part before we put the hinges on the little extra piece, because it's a bigger piece and it's going to be more difficult. So I've got this ready to go, but before I want to show you how I did that. It is the match to this piece here. And what I did was I had the holes in here, so when I got ready to put this piece in, then I punched the holes from this side to the other side, and then I took it out again, of course, and put it in this side. And then I used my hammer and anvil type thing to close those pieces over. Now when I glue this over here, you won't see that mechanism. Of course, this piece is going to be glued up against it, so you won't see that anyway, but you won't see any of the other things as well. So there we have that. We're going to put that one aside. We're going to put the lower hinge aside, which that is. See, it's the same size as that. They're actually all the same size, all of these pieces. Makes it a little easier, then you don't have to remember which one's which. We're going to put this one aside because it goes with that other hinge piece. Or I guess we could do, well, it doesn't matter. We'll do that in all in good time, as they say. Okay, so this is and I mismarked it, so I have to remark it as I go. Okay, so this is the piece we're going to do first. We're going to do, because big is always best. Get the big one out of the way. And it goes in the middle. We just want to make sure we have our glue spread nice and evenly all over it, just like we did with all the other pieces that we're making this box. And I think I have enough glue to finish this. It's always annoying when you're doing one of these things and you run out of glue in the middle and you have to make some more up. And I say make some more up. I know you have, I mean, the Yes paste is already made, but I like to thin it a little bit, so I have to mix it with a little bit of water and make sure that it's nicely, evenly dispersed, shall we say. Okay, I'm just pulling this glue down. Keep my fingers out of it as long as I can, which is about now. And I'll put my thumb in it right over here. And then spread the rest of that out. Might need a little bit more here for this corner. And I'm holding it so that I can see it in the light. see it shiny all in the light, and you can tell, of course, if it looks slick all in the light, then there's glue all over every bit of it. And this little edge is not wanting to glue up. There we go, a little bit more on the edge. And put that back down in there. And then we'll put this in the center. And that is on this thing right here. And make sure that's glued down. Now it will be able to move slightly for a few seconds. And make sure that it is even with the line, the grain of the paper, well, cloth paper. And scoot that over just a little bit. And that feels like it's down. Okay, and again, have to wipe my fingers because I don't know how I do it, but every time I mess with glue, I get glue on my fingers. Okay, so then we're going to take this, of course, and turn it over and make sure that this side is nicely down, and it looks like it is there. And we're going to put our newsprint on it, and we're going to use our bone folder to make sure everything is nicely down. Because we don't want to make it shiny, so that's why we put a paper in between it. And there we have it. And it looks like it's nicely on there. Okay, so then, it doesn't matter at this point which way we do this. We can have this one on this side or this one on this side or the other sides, because when we turn it over, then we can turn it this way or we can turn it that way and it'll work fine. But you do want to make sure that you have your holes toward the outside. So that's what we're going to do next. And in this case, of course, the hinge of the lid, there will be a little hinge here. So we'll leave a little space between the main board and the little extra boards to allow that to move around the corner of the box as we're closing it. Okay, so we don't need any glue in that hole, but it doesn't matter if we have it. We'll just remove it when we get ready to do it. And what we want to do here is to make sure that this is one board width across away from the other one. So we just use that one since we have it spare. And we also want to make sure that it is straight across the bottom. So in other words, this one's not scooted up or this one's not scooted down, that they're actually even across the bottom. So with those two extra little pieces, and we can take that out after we get it set. Make sure that guy's set. That guy's set. And then this one is getting glued to the other side. That was our other hinge piece that we just brought over for the use of that. And then this is our closure piece. Yeah, I don't remember what I called that. Okay, whatever, to close it. I'm getting glue all over me again. Not all over me, just on my fingers a little bit. Not enough to really hurt it, but enough that I don't like it. It's sticky. Sticky. And we want to make sure that the holes don't go against this. They have to go toward the outside. So go toward the outside. And again, we need to make sure it's even here and that there is one board width in between there. Okay. And make sure that that one's glued down there too on that edge. And hold it for a second sometimes. And that looks good there. That looks beautiful. Okay, so now I'm going to take this and turn it over and just make sure that these are glued and my paper fell down. Okay, so now, come here. we're going to cover that up. And we always do the bottom one first, or I always do the bottom and top first. Make sure that that's still, yep. See, that will then do like that on top of our box, and it'll be beautiful. And it did scoot just a smidge. All it has to do is make a right-hand turn there, so it's not, I mean, a right angle turn. I could have cut additional little pieces of this board to use as spacers, but this was handy, you know. Okay, so now we have to trim our corners, and then we'll fold up the bottom and the top, and then we will do the sides. So again, since our board is 1/8 of an inch thick, we go 1/8 of an inch out. 1/8 of an inch out, approximately 45-degree angle. Doesn't have to be perfect on that. I think I need my scissors sharpened. They've been a while since well, actually, they've never been sharpened, except with my sharpener, which doesn't really work that well. Put these little extra things over here out of the way. And we'll get our handy-dandy newsprint for, and see, the glue's dried from yesterday, so I don't have to worry about that glue, but I do have to worry about the new glue I put on it. Sometimes, to strengthen it, if we were using paper to put on the outside, then I would put cheesecloth along these hinges to strengthen it. But since it's book cloth is already strong, so it's not going to need the strengthening of the cheesecloth. Move this out of the way. Make sure we turn that up nicely. And again, just like we did yesterday, when we're covering things, we want to make sure this little corner is pushed down. Push toward the board. Okay, now for the other side. Trying to lose things on the floor. Let me catch that first. Okay. Okay. Put this up here. And fold that toward me, make that a little easier to get that even along the edge. And isn't that pretty? Pretty red. Always make sure you don't have any glue on your table when you do that. You want to lay your stuff in the glue, it makes a mess. Okay, again, I'm going to push those corners down. And we're going to test drive this. And it still works. And it buckled up there, which I wasn't supposed to do because my glue wasn't done. Now, the other thing we're going to do is we're going to use our, okay, where did I put my baby? This little thing. This little thing is handy for pushing down in here to kind of help that, if I get a hold of it, pushing down in here to kind of help that bend, help that stretch down into that crevasse so that it will bend nicely. And I bent this, but you can unbend that again, so that's okay. Okay, so you can see how that's going to work. And now we need to put the things in before we close this up, and then it'll be nice and smooth on there. So on this side we have the closure thing, which is this. We're going to put it as close as we can to this edge, because I know there was very little tolerance on this going over that other little bead on the other side. And you can see that when we did that, I don't know if you can see it, but I can see the little holes that we made. Well, come on, little holes. The little holes that we made when we punched it through to the side. Then I just put it back through those holes, and there we have it. But now we have to bend down these things. So I bent these down. Can use this to bend it, the initial bend. And to make sure it goes down into the board nicely and is really in there, I'm going to actually hammer it onto here. So it might get noisy, so you might have to close your ears for a few seconds as I hammer this little thing down. Okay, and then the other side. And I actually want a little more than that. That's pretty good. Okay. So that should not ever come out, you know. There we go. That's really down there. And one more hit on this side. There we go. Okay, so it looks good on the outside. Looks good there. The next test is to see if it will close. And I have a solution if it doesn't, because we've added the width of this red stuff, the book cloth in there. It may be too, I may have had too less tolerance, and see, it doesn't want to close. So what we will do is we're going to use this little cute file here, and we're going to make that hole just a little elongated. In other words, bring the hole up toward the actual end so that it will go over that so it'll go over the little nub that's there. Just happen to have the nice little round file, which will do that. I did do metal work a little bit for a while. Okay, so that should work. I think that's wide enough. Okay, and not quite close enough. Guess we can actually. There we go. See, it really is going to be tight there, and that's what we really want. And we should have had our circles up on both of those, and we did. And so that's going to lay flat when we get ready to put glue these things down. Okay. Okay, that looks good. And the reason it keeps popping up is because the one side is flatter than the other. Okay, so that works. So now when we get ready to do our hinges, now when we put our hinges on the other side, the hinges came with little screws, but we don't want to put screws because the screws would have to go down into the box, and then on the lid part they would show because they would come out the other side. So what we're going to actually use for that, instead of screws, we're going to use these little brads. And the little brads, the same as before, we have to have a little hole for them to go into. So I think I have a little hole poker here somewhere. I have one here. This will work. And we'll punch that hole from this side so that we can see where it is. And all four of those. And then on this side, on the outside, we're going to put our hinge. And we're going to use two of these little brads. So maybe if I put that into the hole first, into the hinge place. That might make it easier. And then I line it up with that little hole and of course poke it through. And they are little star-shaped ones, so that's going to be interesting too. And this one as well. It's probably the hardest part of the whole thing. Okay, there we go. Then we turn this over to this side, and we're going to spread those little things out. And hopefully they will spread out and give them a little whack with our hammer. Come on, spread out, you little babies. See the little legs of the we don't want those coming out, because if they come out we wouldn't be able to put them back in, so we'd have to fix it with washi tape or something. Okay, so one hinge is attached, and that can move a little bit, so it'll be nice to move against our other. And let's pull that in a little bit, but I think that'll be all right. Okay, so our other one, again, we have two of the brads, and we have our hinge. I have these over here on the side on a magnet so that they don't get lost. And we'll put one of these in here. In the hole. And the other one. And then line that up with that little hole. There you have your two little stars. Pull them to the other side and spread those little brad legs out. And the other one. Okay, so now we're ready to do the rest of the glue up on this and the rest of the glue up on this, but then we have to put the other end of the hinge into that after we get it ready to go. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Move this to the side. I think I got way too much glue there, but I can probably use it on the other side too. Come on, you, go in that corner and get your corners glued nicely. And then on the other side. Got a little bump in the middle there, but where that fastener is. A little bit more. Okay, get this out of the way. And then we are going to make sure our corners get together nicely. That one did fine. Push all this down. Sometimes use clothespins to hold it for a little while so that it gets securely on there. Make sure our corner's nice. All right, corner. Behave or I'll replace you. Just kidding. Can't replace it. It's stuck as part of it. And again, around my corners with my fingernail, thumbnail. This one's already rounded pretty well. Need to push this one closed. This has still the glue on it. We already put the glue on it. And we got a little extra glue there, and a little extra glue on my corner, so we'll wipe that off right away so it doesn't make a mess. Push that down. We have a little glue on this corner too, so we'll take a little bit of that off. And you can see our hinges fold back really nicely. So whenever they're on the box and we've taken the lid off the box, they're going to lay like that. It's going to be up against the box with the hinge attached to the box, and then this is going to lay like this when you open the box. At least that's the idea. So now we need to let that dry, and we've got lots of other things to do while we're doing it, so we'll let that dry. I'm going to put these, I've got the clamp here, a little clamp, put that right at that corner to make that baby be sure to glue there, because I had a little shorter piece there. And let's see how we're doing on time, because 30 minutes is about how much it'll do, and we've got 25 minutes. So what I'm going to do is just continue, and then I'll have two uploads. I'll have one upload for this. Actually, I should stop now and start the other one. But we'll glue this on first, and then we'll start a fourth one so that we can finish up. Okay? That'll be good. Put this guy to the side. Always putting things to the side. Got to put them out of the way. And this one we're putting this on, so we'll do that really quick. Glue all over there. Lay that down our square. And trim it out. Again, trim 1/8 of an inch from the corner, approximately 45-degree angle. Make sure that the glue is stuck, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Come back for the last bit of it. Bye for now.